of the night is me. So for a second here, I'm going to be an MC. Our next act is a person who can talk. So she might be funny. Let's invite us to the stage. Cat High. And now we're back to Amy. Thanks. Oh my gosh, thanks. Okay, before I get started, I want to say thank you to the Whistle Stop. This is the second time they've had us here doing a comedy night, and it's just such a warm and inviting venue. As a female comedian, there are other places where I've performed and not felt totally safe, had to bring some pepper spray with me. By pepper spray, I of course mean hairspray with the word hair crossed out and pepper written, because I don't trust myself or anyone else, but mostly myself. Not even with hairspray, it's an empty canister, but it's the illusion that counts. And then as a cleaner comedian, both in my content and personal hygiene, there are other places where I don't really fit, And then you come someplace like this with such a friendly audience, and it's just nice. And I really appreciate it, and that's enough of talking about my feelings for the rest of my life. Let's get to comedy, alright? The last time we did one of these, comedy nights at the Whistle Stop, I talked extensively about how I was perpetually single, which that's still true. Don't get too excited just because I put that sentence in past tense. I'm basically always alone, and if ever I'm not, it's just because of a technicality. I could say I've been single my whole life, but then put an asterisk by the statement and an explanation at the bottom of the page that's well, there was this one guy, and there was this one time, and there were a handful of dates, and there were 6 months in the 7th grade. But you get my point, right? I don't have boyfriends, I have footnotes. Yeah. I did just recently meet the guy that I'm going to marry, so that's cool. It's kind of weird, but mostly cool, and super nerve-wracking. Because now that I've met him and acknowledged that someday I'll marry him, I've got to find a way to break it to him. And his girlfriend, which is going to be the worst part. She's really nice. I bet she's going to be super bummed. But yeah, so at some point someone's going to have to be listen, you've got a really good thing going here. That's awesome, I'm so happy you're happy, but unfortunately, you've seen this movie and you're not in game. Yeah, sorry, do you guys know the term in game? It's kind of like a Tumblr word, I think. Do you all have Tumblrs? Or no, because you have boyfriends. Got it? Duly noted. To backtrack a little bit, there is a person that I'm interested in right now, but I don't really think he's the guy that I'm going to marry, because I don't really believe in stuff like love at first sight, and I don't have premonitions, and I'm not crazy, so just kind of embrace the unknown. Also, to my knowledge, he doesn't have a girlfriend. I just made her up for comedic purposes, but he's a real person with a name and everything. I'm not going to say it right now because I don't know him that well. And when you first start liking people, it's just you get nervous. And with me, I don't usually like people like that or in general. So it's I don't really know how to handle having feelings. And that makes me a little bit scared of restraining orders, normal things. Sorry, as soon as I said I didn't know how to handle having feelings, I could feel some of my friends forming advice for me, and I think it would go like this. Well, listen, if you really like this guy, maybe you should just tell him. That's really your best option at happiness. Your best chance. And that's cool, that's fine. It's the kind of advice you would give, but you wouldn't necessarily take. How if your friend was complaining about her job, you might be look, Rachel, if you're really that unhappy, maybe you should just quit. You're awesome, so I'm sure you find something great soon, and life's not all about money, and it's really short, so can you afford to be this unhappy all the time? And that's solid advice, pursue happiness. But then if roles were reversed and you were complaining about your job and your friend was maybe you should quit, you'd be okay, Rachel, don't be cute. I have student loans and I like to do crazy things like pay for rent and electricity. Yeah. So basically, in my brain, being unemployed and talking to boys are the same thing. Which, they're not dissimilar, because they're both courageous acts that I'd be unwilling to take. Yeah, we should all be more impressed that I'm able to do stand-up without any spine whatsoever. Yeah. That having been said, I am a grown woman. I know that like your best shot at dating someone you want to date is to tell them that you want to date them. I'm still never gonna do it, but I know that it's true. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm still single. Like, the best thing about not having a boyfriend is you have a lot of time to think about why you don't have a boyfriend. By best thing, I of course mean worst thing. But after many a Saturday night in introspective solitude, I have figured it out. All right. The first part, I'm definitely still single because of my complete unwillingness to talk about any of my feelings with anyone at any point ever. But then also, I'm just kind of mean, you know? Which, like, listen, if you're also kind of mean, don't worry. Mean people totally find love too. Donald Trump's been married like 7 times, so it doesn't happen for you. My problem is that I'm mean and the kinds of guys I'm interested in aren't. And it's not just that I like nice people, because like mean people and nice people do end up together. Just ask like any of my married friends. But my problem is that I like nice guys, but I'm exclusively interested in the kind of guy who's basically the personification of a baby squirrel. Like, you know the kind of guy I'm talking about, right? Like, he's definitely been beat up on at least one playground. He wore button-downs and sweater vests, unironically, in high school. He just goes out and gets a haircut when his dad recommends it. He calls his mom like twice a week and is probably like overly enthusiastic about the Pythagorean theorem. That kind of guy. And the problem with me being interested in that kind of guy is that they're out there, existing in the world, and under the distinct impression that if anyone likes them, they'll know because that person will be cordial and friendly. And then I'm out there, existing in the world, just constantly glowering. Like, never cracks a smile. And that's a problem because we just don't meet, you know? Like, the guy that I'm interested in right now is almost unnaturally nice. Like, he's friendly towards everybody. And that sounds great. But then, like with me, as an actual rump toad, if I'm nice to you of my own accord, like, you know that in my mind, you're in the top tier of humanity. And then if I mean to you, that can mean anything. So I don't read anything into it. But then, like, this guy's so indiscriminately nice that when he's nice to me, I feel like maybe you're secretly in love with me, or maybe I annoy you and you kind of wish we didn't exist on the same metaphysical plane, but you're just too decent of a person not to suffer my presence. So, it, like, really infuses a lot of anxiety into the situation. Like, I've been really, really anxious about it. But also I'm anxious about everything. Like, everything under the sun and beyond it. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but the universe is actually infinite and it's always expanding. And that's too much. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. It's terrifying. It keeps me up at night, like, up and very far away from windows, so I don't have a chance to glance at the infinite abyss that is the night sky. It's terrible. I told my brother that, though. I told, like, the magnitude of the sky freaks me out. And then, like, to comfort me, he was like, well, you know, Katrina, the universe is, like, the observable universe is actually finite. It's got a radius of 13 billion light years, because anything beyond that point hasn't had time to travel, like, the light from that hasn't had time to travel to Earth yet, because the universe is 13 billion years old. And I was like, first, that's legit. Like, talking to my brother is like talking to a documentary, which sounds like an insult, but it's really a good thing. But then I was like, okay, Nash, that is the second worst thing I've ever heard, okay? What you're saying is what already seems like an infinity isn't quite as infinite as actual infinity that is space, right? And anything beyond that point, we can't see because it's in pitch black, which means it could be giant hairy spider monsters for all we know. And the point is that I have anxiety and possibly anger issues. But we're going to focus on anxiety because that's what I prepared stuff for. So, yeah, I have like a generalized anxiety disorder, which means that I'm anxious in general. And it's, well, it's not fun, but it does make life interesting. Because I can just be going about my normal day and then my brain will concoct an image that is like terrifying. or disturbing or otherwise distressing for me to dwell on for the next couple of hours or weeks. So like, for instance, I could be taking a shower. And you know when you're in the shower, your mind kind of wanders? So my mind will be like, you used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my love. Hey, what if a snake was about to slither up from the drain and bite you on the ankle? And it would be a super poisonous snake, so you would die almost immediately. And you would fall forward and bust your face open on the edge of the tub. Then, because of the super poisonous snake nest, the water wouldn't drain properly, and you'd get all bloated and disgusting like in that one episode of CSI. And they wouldn't find you for a couple of days because, let's face it, people like you, but they don't like you well enough to notice that you're missing the day that you go missing. So when they finally find you, you'll be all like glue and wrinkly, bloated and disgusting, with a busted nose and broken jaw, and you'll be so hideous your parents will have to have a closed casket at the funeral, and everyone would forget how cute you were. And then I try, like, with my excellent, like, compassion and bedside manner, I try to calm myself down, and I'll be like, shut up, Katrina, you're crazy. And that doesn't work. So what usually happens is, like, I have to cut my shower short, and halfway through the day, I'll realize, like, I didn't rinse all of the shampoo out of my hair, and my brain will be like, what if because you didn't rinse all the shampoo out of your hair, all of your hair falls out? And there's, like, something wrong with it, so it makes your hair, like, your scalp gray and flaky. And it's, like, too acidic or something, so it damages all your hair follicles. So almost none of your hair ever grows back, and the bit that does, it's, like, all thin and stringy. And it's so distracting that everyone forgets how cute you were. Yeah. So that's one thing my anxiety likes to do. It likes to take, like, just an idea and propel it into the worst case scenario, which for me is always everyone forgetting how cute I am.